start on campus.
Hey, welcome to a brand new episode inside Campus Connection. We want to say thank you for tuning with us and staying with us every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. right here on Love 101, the family station. Scholars, students, teachers, and even principals too, we are right here for you and we want to connect with you right here on our program each Tuesday. I'm Floyd Wilson, and I have my co-host with me on the other side, Reverend Stevenson Samuels. What's up, Rev? It's good to have you here with us this evening. I saw him there a moment ago. I think he is getting back with us in a while, and he will say good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us inside another Campus Connection. Every Tuesday, we get to, focus on a different topic that is geared towards our students. And we are definitely we want to keep you up to date with what's happening with our student, teachers, schools, and the different ministries around our youth and our schools. So today in Campus Connection, we'll be having our regular features. We'll be having The Bread of Life by Ashley Nelson. And Ashley Nelson is a member of the Wafif Church. And also we'll be having our education news. And that's brought to us by the partner for the month of March, Javon Thomas. He's a bachelor's degree student from the Northern Caribbean University, NCU. We'll also have our campus tune. Oh yeah. Campus tune is back. So for our campus sides, you'll be having a campus sides that you can definitely praise to later on in the program. Also, we will have our Let's Talk About It segment. And Let's Talk About It segment. It's all about COVID and independent schools. So we're going to be hearing from the president of the Jamaica Independent School Association, that's Dr. Faithlin Wilson, as well as the principal of the Bel Air High School in Mandeville, Mr. Lawrence Rowe. We're going to find out how COVID has affected operations of these associations, as well as the Bel Air High School, and so much more. It's going to be an interesting program. It's going to be an interesting discussion. So we definitely want to hear from you. We definitely want to hear from persons who might be associated with a private school. You have a child going to a private school. This is the program for you. You can contact us on our WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125, or you can call us via our studio lines at 968-8327 or 876-968-8328. We are live on Facebook. So right now it's all about COVID and our private schools. So stick and stay with us right here on Love 101. We'll be right back after these messages.
With the Swipe, equip your delivery staff with the Sagicor Bank Swipe Terminal and accept debit and credit card payments almost anywhere. Apply online for Swipe today at sagicor.com. Sagicor Bank, helping you change the way you do business with Swipe, supporting growth, supporting Jamaica.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
We're working on a brighter day, you don't have to fret. You know your family secure, you don't need no stress. It's like you run a 5K, set the pace, win the race, celebrate, and you still never bust no sweat. See we brother and we sister, this is how we heal them. Easy now, you and guardian life, it's a nation we're building. Many hearts, but we all want the same thing. Live secure and live easy.
The older I get.
Did you check on mommy, daddy, or even grandpa or grandma today? A reminder from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security and the National Council for Senior Citizens to care for our elderly persons not only for today, but every day.
Get the Credit Union Prepaid MasterCard from CNWJ with chip and pin fraud protection. Discover the benefits of belonging. The time by Community and Workers of Jamaica is
5:38.
Food plus man a bus a campus tune now make it go and bounce in a me room cause of that I go.
Hey, you are inside Campus Connection here on Love 101 FM. I'm Floyd Wilson, and this is Campus Connection. And with me is connecting right now is Reverend Stevenson Samuels. Hey, Rev, what's up?
Hey, I'm fine, bro. How you doing?
Fabulous. Great to be here, man. Great to be here.
That's right. And now it's Bread of Life time, no so?
That's right.
And as you were told before, the Bread of Life is brought to you by a member of the Worship and Faith Intern Fellowship. That's WAFIF. That's his name is Asley Nelson. Hi, Asley, over to you. Share your heart with us, brother.
I think that's Ashley.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
It is, Ashley with us?
All right. So maybe we could move on and get back to, we could get back in a little while. So it's now time for education news. What about education news, Floyd?
I think we have education news, and education news is brought to us this month of March by Javon Thomas. He's a graduate from the Northern Caribbean University there with a bachelor's degree in communication studies with an emphasis in radio broadcasting. Javon, are you with us? I think we're connecting with Javon is connecting. Javon, you there with us? I think we're facing a little bit of difficulty there, technical difficulty there, Pastor Sam. So we're going to have to move on.
Yes. Well, definitely I think that we're going to have the next thing. Trust me, it's Campus Tune. What you say about that? There must be a tune somewhere. I'm going to show that music. I'm going to show you that music. Never, ever let us down. Watch I see. So it's time now to have our Campus Tune.
Yes. And that's by our very own Pastor Dean Smith. And this one is called Love the Lord.
Love the Lord, I love the Lord. Healer for the hopeless. I love the Lord, I love the Lord. Refuge for the reject. I love the Lord, I love the Lord. Shelter for the homeless. I love the Lord, I love the Lord. Defender of the helpless. And I will love the Lord. 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 Oh yes, I love the Lord. I love the Lord. Joy in times of sadness. Oh yes, I love the Lord. I love the Lord. The weary soul will find rest. I love the Lord, I love the Lord. Strengthen all my weakness. I love the Lord, I love the Lord. I'll praise Him for His goodness. And I will love the Lord. I will love the Lord. He heard my plea, and from the pit delivered me.
All right. That's
That's
our
right.
campus tune.
That's right. That's campus tune. Love the Lord. I love the Lord.
Love the Lord. Yes, man. I love it. I
my
love it.
gosh.
Definitely a
Yeah,
song that
yeah,
you can
yeah.
sing along with. You know, I see that as like a congregation song. Like, you know, you could,
Of course. Of
yeah,
course.
you know, somebody could be leading and then, you know, the whole church just come on with it. You know, love the
Oh yeah.
Lord, I love the Lord. Yeah,
Oh,
man.
oh, oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Go on like you know music. So listen. Let us move on before we allow my brother. Anyway, we go on church already and see us sing a special song, you know. So no problem.
I
As
have
we
my,
go, I want to hear Floyd sing one day on campus tunes. But before that happens, ladies and gentlemen, we move right now to the bread of life. And Ashley is going to be doing the bread of life for us. So let us hear Ashley at this time.
Ashley there with us?
All right.
Seems that
So we're going to move then to Javon because I'm told that they're on. So I wonder if Javon is there. He would be doing. You're there. Oh, Javon Thomas is there, and Javon is a graduate from the Northern Caribbean University College with a bachelor's degree in communication studies with emphasis in radio broadcasting. And how long have you completed that program, Javon?
I just finished in December.
Oh, fantastic. And
congrats.
now, Javon, congrats. Over to you, Javon, for education news.
Welcome to Education News here inside Campus Connection. I'm Javon Thomas. Some teachers are up in arms with school administrators who are insisting that they turn up for face-to-face classes despite a surge in COVID-19 cases and a directive from the government to facilitate work from home in the public sector to help curb the spread of the virus on the island. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Jasford Gabriel, raised the concern where he suggested that school administrators who are anxious to make up for lost time are now forcing teachers to expose themselves to the virus that has spiraled out of control over the past 5 weeks, leading to a tightening of the health protocols under the Disaster Risk Management Act. Gabriel said, as it relates to the work from home orders, we are imploring our school administrators to be as considerate as possible and not to require our teachers who are not at the exit exam grade levels, that is, grades 11 through 13 and grade 6. Only those teachers should be required to be out teaching in the physical space. He argued that those teachers who were already teaching from home and who are not involved with the exam groups and are capable of working from home should be allowed to do so. Gabriel added, we, the JTA, are getting a lot of complaints about administrators who are calling out teachers to teach from school, even though they are not teaching the exam groups. And you would also realize that as a country, we are still seeking to treat with a rough period in terms of the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Both the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, and the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, are repeating their call for the government to remove the duties and taxes on electronic devices to ensure that more students are able to continue their education online. The repeated call comes as COVID-19 cases continue to surge across the island and reports that up to 40% of public school children are still without electronic devices to access online learning. JCC's director and chair of the Economic Affairs and Taxation Committee, Keith Collister, said, the JCC is still calling for the removal of duties and taxes on the electronic devices. We believe that the cost is very minor relative to the potential benefits, and we understand from data received that these costs are in line with our original projections last year and expect they will be similar for this year. And that's all the news we have for you today here inside Education News. Be sure to tune in next week for more news updates. I'm Javon Thomas.
Yes. So there you have it. Our education news for today was brought to us by Javon Thomas, who is our student partner for this month, this education news for the month of March, rather. He'll be bringing us education news. So join us next week for more news inside education news. It's now time for us to take a break, and we'll be right back after these messages. That's right. After this, we'll have our Let's Talk About It segment.
A Digicel. Yo, sell me a 3-base credit there. I want top up and win. I'm money free now.
Yo, that sound buzzy. How that?
I'm money free with Digicel. From now until April 1st, top up with $300 or more for a chance to win cash and prime bundles valued at over 3 million in prizes. A bag of things like you win instant daily prizes. Yeah. Win 10 grand a week. Yeah. And the grand prize, 20 people are going to win 50 grand each. Sell me one more there. I'm money free with Digicel.
Authorized under section 58(3) of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Wouldn't you just love having more money in your pocket each month? Take home all your expensive loans to Educom Credit Union and let us ease the burden of high monthly loan payments. Consolidate now and let Educom Credit Union put more money in your pocket. Fast approval, no waiting period. What are you waiting for? Hurry down to Educom now or call 926-6973 for more info. Conditions apply. Educom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Value through service, integrity, innovation, and commitment.
Hello, today we're going to be making breakfast and preparing a lunchbox for school. Let's start with some sugar and salt and wash it down with a nice big glass of more sugar. And now for the lunchbox. Let's put in saturated fat, more salt, and sugar. Foods high in salt, fats, and sugar increase the risk of hypertension, obesity, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Now more than ever, we have the right to know what's in our food. Give us warning labels on the front of our food packages.
A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, Ministry of Health and Wellness, and partners.
Hey, psst, come closer. I want to tell you my secret. My son wears his favorite shirt for everything, and no matter how much he runs, jumps, and plays, it always looks like new and smells really good. My secret? I use Suavitel Superior Care. Keeps my family's clothes as good as new. Suavitel, as soft as a mother's love.
Healthcare workers are working very hard to ensure lives are saved and people recover quickly from COVID-19. But their work is becoming harder because you're not wearing your mask, washing your hands with soap and water, or using hand sanitizer, and you are not maintaining physical distance. Let's limit the need for hospital beds and ventilators. Do the right thing. Cover your nose and mouth with a mask. Practice good hand hygiene and maintain a physical distance of 6 feet between you and others. COVID-19 is not over. Protect yourself while protecting others. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
I am data hungry. I share pictures of my food on Instagram, but not the actual food itself. I listen to YouTube music all day, and when I'm not, I'm streaming videos all night. Flow has the only prepaid mobile plan with unlimited data for the apps I really want. Real apps like YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, Twitter, and WhatsApp. Real data that I really use.
Get it now. Dial *129*6 number sign to activate your Flow 7-day plan for only $675. Conditions apply.
Hey, where the student them see we are. Where the student see we are. I want to go on campus. We are carry the large one campus. Come on, tell me what one campus connection. Tell me what one connection.
Absolutely. Campus Connection is what a go on. And we are so very happy to be back with you on Campus Connection. Let me remind you that you're tuned to the family station, and the emphasis is family station. And this is therefore Love 101. You have some other station will call themselves family station, but officially and authentically, this is the family station, Love 101. And this program, is Campus Connection. It's time for our Let's Talk About It segment. And today, what we are going to be talking about is private schools, COVID, and more.
Yes, indeed. And we have online with us the president of the Jamaica Independent School Association, JISA, that's Dr. Faithlin Wilson, as well as the principal of the Belleair High School in Mandeville, Mr. Lawrence Rowe. Thank you both for joining us today. We're going to be having a chat with you both about COVID and independent schools. Welcome, welcome. Thank you both for being with us, Dr. Wilson and Mr. Rowe.
Thank you.
Let me start off with you. Yes, good afternoon, Dr. Wilson. Let me start off with you, Dr. Wilson. Tell us about the JISA, that organization, Jamaica Independent School Association. Tell us a little bit about how you go about representing these schools. How many schools do you represent, and what has been the response of JISA in the midst of COVID?
Okay, thank you. The Jamaica Independent Schools Association, JISA, has been an organization that has been in place for over 50 years. We recently registered as a charity organization, and the association has members who are school leaders from the early childhood all the way up to post-secondary level. We currently have approximately 100. We currently have approximately 150 members. And we really work through much collaboration to represent the association and the needs of private school students in particular in various areas of national life.
That's
excellent,
a lot.
excellent.
Now, when you say 150 members, are you talking about 150 institutions then?
150 institutions. Actually, they are closer to 600 private schools in Jamaica, but we represent about 150 of those.
Okay, so that means that there are 450 out there that are not a part of the association?
Right, currently.
Those institutions that join the association, why would they join the association? What are the benefits of is it JISA? Is that what you call it?
JISA, yes.
JISA?
The acronym for Jamaica Independent Schools Association.
Right. Why would persons join JISA? What are the benefits that causes persons to join?
Well, there are several benefits, but I think the major one is that we act and learn together, and that we collaborate to speak with one voice on issues that are related to education. Especially now as we are dealing with this pandemic. We have never ever been this way before. And that kind of sharing and collaboration and supporting of each other is really very critical. We also play other roles. For example, we provide training and development for our school leaders and academic staff. We cooperate to host sporting events, and we just support each other generally.
Okay. Floyd, I want to ask another question, but over to you, Floyd.
No, go right ahead. I was going to ask Mr. Rowe, the principal of Belleair, to give us a little bit of perspective from a principal of a private school. What has it been like for him and his staff for 2021 and for the students there at Belleair High?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your program. Good afternoon, my colleague, Dr. Wilson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rowe. Don't tell them we're neighbors, right?
We're neighbors.
Neighbors.
From each other at the moment.
That's our secret.
Wow, right. I was just going to ask about what that secret is.
Right. Belleair High School, as you would have indicated, the high school, well, the Belleair group of schools rather, includes the preparatory and kindergarten and the high school. Currently, the high school is supported by the government, so we are termed as grant-aided, but the rest of the school is independent or what we would term private and depend on revenue streams from school fees that are charged to parents. But at the moment, the high school, since 2013, would have been grant-aided or supported by the government of Jamaica, the Ministry of Education. But, yes, sir, go ahead.
So does that mean that it operates, let us say, just using an example of a school, does it operate then like the Manchester High School, or you are along a different track?
Yes, we do operate like the Manchester High School. We get students from the PEP examination. We also have a few international students that from time to time would ask to be admitted to the institution, but mainly our pool or intake of students is from the PEP. But the prep school also, we are still in partnership with them because it's one school. It's just that the high school is grant aided or supported by the government, but the prep and kinder is still private.
Mm-hmm.
For our listeners who are not familiar what it means by grant aided, what does that mean that is grant aided?
We are supported in terms of payment of salaries for our staff members, but the buildings and the operations of the plant are still managed by the school.
Okay. So we're talking about COVID and these independent school, Dr. Wilson. There has been different, happenings since 2021. Once the directive from the ministry came out that, everyone was supposed to, stay home except those persons who are in examination, but the private schools were exempt. What was your response when the private schools were also, told that they also needed to, close down face-to-face, except for, the examination groups?
Well, it came as a shock, particularly because the notice was so short. We understand that as a nation, we all need to be involved in doing whatever we can to bring this COVID-19 pandemic under control. And so Jesus schools have never refused to comply with whatever orders are given under the Disaster Risk Management Act. But having been told more than once by the government that they cannot support private schools because private schools are private businesses, and having been told that if we had complied with certain protocols and gotten the approval by the Ministry of Health, we could have continued our operations, it came as a shock on Sunday evening to be told that we needed to close immediately. The impact has been quite significant, and we do wish that there was some dialogue with private schools before this decision. We have always made ourselves available, even at short notice, for meetings. So we weren't prepared for that kind of announcement, to be honest.
Tell me something again, Doc. That's a follow-up question. What has been the impact, though, in terms of COVID on these private schools? Have private schools been closing? How have private schools been, adjusting in terms of, has less people been going to the schools? Have persons been taking their children away from independent schools? What have been the trends so far?
Well, we've had positive and negative impacts, and I think it's important to present a balanced view. And certainly, I'd like to talk about the positives first. I believe that all things work together for good to them that love God, and many of us do. And many of us believe we are called according to his purpose to serve in this particular way.
You preach now.
What did you say, sir?
I said, you preach now.
Yes, and there's a thin line between a teacher and a preacher. Forgive me. Yes, so there have been some positives. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased with the innovation that I'm seeing. I'm very pleased with the resilience that we're building. I'm very pleased with the increasing collaboration that I am seeing among private schools, and even our collaboration with the public school system and the government, I think, has taken some steps in the right direction. There have, however, been some very, very stark challenges. One is that as private schools, we serve a wide range of students. We serve those from the early childhood level who the face-to-face is just not as effective with. We saw, for example, that the government in the announcement said that nurseries could open, but our kindergartners that serve nursery age children couldn't open. So we have situations where our children are in nurseries logging on to our learning management systems in the private schools. Those things we felt that they were not properly thought out, because the same standards on which the nurseries operate or kindergartens, the registered kindergartens would operate on those similar standards. So I think consideration could have been given to opening our early childhood institutions that are registered with the Early Childhood Commission, for example. So that has caused some dislocation. The other challenge is that we also serve a lot of children with special needs. Some of them are in residential facilities. And when you have to send those children home, you just have to send them home. They will not be able to function online. And once we cannot serve the needs of our clients, like any other business, that impacts our finances. And we were already severely impacted because we've lost enrollment because the parents are experiencing challenges, and so that impacts us. We've lost other areas of income, like our tuck shops and canteens, and also the fundraising activities that we normally do. We've lost that as well. So the impact has been quite significant. And honestly, we think that government could do more to support such an important sector of education.
Yes. I want to ask you, Doc, a question, but I'm going to go over to Mr. Lawrence Rowe at this time. But I'd like to ask you, what are the things you think that the government can do to give support to keep you buoyant and vibrant? But though, Mr. Rowe, I want to go into the area of innovation. And I'm sure that the Bel Air group of schools have done a number of innovative things to keep the school alive and vibrant and positive and very profitable during this time. What are some of the innovative systems that you have implemented to ensure the viability of the Bel Air group of schools?
Well, thank you so much. We at Bel Air group of schools have implemented the hybrid learning system, where we give parents the option to take students in the physical space for classes or sign in from home in the online space and participate in a class that is at school. So we do have that capability at the moment to facilitate that at our Bel Air school. And we have also, as Mrs. Dr. Wilson pointed out about the income revenue or the income streams like our Top Shop, we would have had to find creative ways to continue the operation of those in a safe way. So in terms of even serving the food and preparing the food and taking it to the students, all the COVID protocols had to be followed with strict guidelines in terms of how we prepare that. We would have also indulged our parents in ensuring that, they support the school in whatever way they can. We know, as Dr. Wilson would have mentioned, that we would have lost some of our students who the parents, based on economic downturn of their businesses or they've lost their jobs. Many of them may have sought alternatives in terms of homeschooling or finding public schools to take their children to. So it has been a really challenging time for us. But nonetheless, we have found creative ways to continue the learning process and give in a safe way, following all the protocols set out by the government of Jamaica and the Ministry of Education. So we are compliant in that regard, but we have had to find very creative ways. In our classrooms, we have currently installed smart televisions, tablets, and all of those, where the teachers can teach the students that are in the physical space, and those are at home at the same time. So we have had to do that to accommodate the students, because we still cannot accommodate everybody in the physical space, but we still want to accommodate everybody in the classroom either virtually or physically.
Boy,
Yes.
I'm telling you, that must be a very complicated thing. Floyd, can I ask one
Yes.
more question to Mr. Rowe? Because
Yes, sir.
listening to you and you're talking about students, parents rather, losing jobs and all of that kind of a thing. And so students have had to be pulled as a result. You know,
Yes, sir.
I heard from the Minister of Finance that we have lost over 100,000 jobs in the first few months of COVID. I'm sure that some of your Bel Air parents are in that number. Did you do anything for parents who've lost jobs? Is there any kind of special program that was developed by Bel Air to try and hold these parents and these students in the Bel Air family?
Yes.
Until something, or to work out something with them, anything like that?
Yes, certainly. We would have done quite a bit in terms of accommodating our parents in terms of finances. We would have looked at a decrease in the overall fees, a percentage decrease in the fees to accommodate those parents who were having difficulties to pay the full fees. And rightfully so, they would have had a challenge because you would have promised at the beginning of the term an entire year of teaching in a face-to-face setting, and then came COVID, which meant that some of these students were now at home. It would now result in parents would have to now find extra finances for caregivers to take care of their children at home because they are not able to come into the physical space. So with that, we would have had to offer the parents a percentage decrease in the fees to hold them. And we would have also encouraged our parents, where possible, to work out payment plans on all of those to assist us to not only stay afloat, but to also assist us to continue to provide the quality education that they have known of Bel Air and have come to love of Bel Air.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I just want to remind our listeners that you're tuned to Campus Connection right here on Love 101, and we're having a discussion about COVID and our independent schools or private local schools. And we have online with us Dr. Wilson from the Jamaica Association. Jamaica Independent School Association, that's Dr. Faithlin Wilson, and also we have the principal of Bel Air High School, Mr. Lawrence Rowe. You can join in on the discussion right now. You can send us a WhatsApp message on a WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125, or you can call us on our studio lines 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. We're also live on Facebook, so you can send us a comment there. Yes, Reverend Sam, back over to you, Rev. You can continue.
Right. Doc, I want to get back to you on the issue that I left off from with you. You were talking, just kind of mourning some of the challenges that you are having and the nature of the engagement between independent schools and the government of Jamaica. What are some of the things that you think the government of Jamaica could, should do, to give that kind of support to these private schools that are providing a service for our young people that possibly the government couldn't fill that gap? So you have taken on some of the responsibility of educating our nation's children. What are some of the things that you'd want to see? And I hope that my good friend, the Minister of Education, is listening.
Yes, I'm hearing. The way we look at it is that we are not asking the government to give anything to private schools per se. We are asking the government to think about the children who are registered in private schools. For
What's
example,
the difference?
Yes, it's different because if the government, for example, decides to give a voucher to every child, a voucher that is worth some value to every child that is registered in a private school, it could be similar to what it costs to take care of a child in a public school or even less. then that voucher, some of the children that Mr. Rowe mentioned who have gone to the public system would have remained with us, lessened the burden on the government, and it would not have caused the child to have to, when we are already adjusting in a pandemic, making all kinds of adjustments, that our children also have to go and adjust to another school system. So
Absolutely.
we always say that the focus should be the child. When you have a situation where we have the same standards in our kindergarten units as exist in the nurseries, but yet our children have to now go to nurseries to log on to our learning management systems in our private kindergartens. I just think that those things could have been thought out a little better. In addition to that, the government made a promise last year, August, I think the first promise was made by the then Minister of Education, Youth and Information, that given the challenges that we were facing in the private system and the fact that we didn't have a cushion, and that is another story, the government would give $40,000 to each teacher in the private system and $10,000 each to other employees. The new Minister of Education, who I think is really trying her best, to be honest, also reiterated that same position. But to date, over 50% of eligible employees have not received that grant. So the government should at least keep its promises. In addition to that, we took note of the fact that for other private businesses, the government has given the option of whether to remain open for face-to-face business or not. So the other private businesses have the option of having I almost said children because I'm so into children, having their employees work from home, but private schools were not given that option the minute that we were closed down. Now, as I said, we'd have expected some dialogue before something that would cost such a massive impact, one. And two, we would expect some information as to what kind of support will be given to ensure we get back on our feet whenever we are allowed to reopen and to offer full services to our clients. I think that the private schools are going to be even more needed because we're going to, as a nation, be required to be involved in a massive re-socialization process. Mr. Rowe will agree with me that a number of our children are losing values, even the value of honesty that we spend so much time teaching in school. Now that they are online, they log on and disappear. And pretend that they are there.
That's true.
We have exams online, it's another matter. No, we are going to have to find time to re-socialize our children. They have mental issues that we are going to have to deal with. There are going to be remediation issues. Schools have become the major agent of socialization, I believe. And I think Jamaica needs the input of the private school. We have a proven track record in dealing with all of these things that I'm mentioning. So the government should provide that support so that we can continue to serve the nation's children and the development of Jamaica by extension.
Indeed. Can I ask a question about how many institutions how many of your members have closed doors because they cannot manage? How many have closed down?
That's out of the 150. That's out of the 150.
Yeah, out of the 150.
So far, I'm just aware of 2 of our registered institutions. There may be others because when schools close their doors, they are not obligated to report to GISA. We're not a regulating authority. They're required to report it to the Ministry of Education through its registrar of independent schools. So there may be others. What we are aware of is that there are dozens of our schools who are tethering on the brink of closure.
I know. In fact, I wanted to ask Mr. Rowe before Floyd comes in with his question. How much longer, how many more months you can continue with low registration of students, students dropping out by the way, parents can't afford school fees and so on. How many more months can you continue like this, Mr. Rowe?
Not many, but even
Yes.
before I get there, I just want to add a supporting statement to what Dr. Wilson, the question that you had asked Dr. Wilson regarding how the government can support private institutions. One of the things that we have to recognize that the government of Jamaica is not in a position to cater to all the students of Jamaica, all the children of Jamaica in terms of their education. And that's where the private schools pick up the slack. And so whatever decision that you're going to make for the public sector, you also have to take into consideration the private sector in terms of schools, that is, because it's the children of Jamaica that we are focusing on, whether they're going to a private institution or they're going to a public institution. It's the Jamaican children that are at the core of whatever decision that we need to be making in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic and how we deal with it. One of the things that I'd like to use this forum to put out there and to add my voice in making this appeal to the government is for a removal on the tax on ICT devices, which I can tell you it will help us significantly, because a lot of these parents at the onset of COVID-19, we did not need, let me put it this way, there was a want, but there was not a need for ICT devices in schools at that point, because schools were providing students with the ICT devices by way of their computer labs. With the COVID-19 and the learning from home policy, parents are now required to procure these items for themselves. If you remove the tax on it, it would significantly decrease the cost of these devices, which would mean that the parents would now have more monies in their pocket to assist the private institutions, for example, through the payment of their fees, which would keep us more viable in terms of offering the educational opportunities to our Jamaican children. In answering the second question that you asked, sir, about how much longer, I can tell you not much longer. We would have had to also part company or laid off staff members, because we are not able to keep everybody on board in that regard. We are not able to keep everybody on board. So in a class that you would normally have a teaching assistant, for example, with a regular teacher, now that the numbers are less in terms of students attending from home and from school, that teaching assistant is no longer needed in a class, because the teacher is now able to manage, because there are less students in front of the teacher in the physical space, so to speak. And it's almost like a penny, right, sort of situation that we found ourselves in. But these are some of the decisions that we have had to make in terms of how we are going to remain viable. In terms of decreasing the staff members, would have worked out, I would like to call it retainers for some staff members to say, listen, we have been treating you well over the years. Can you just hold on until we get back on our feet so we can call you back to work? I mean, if they go and they find a job, they're not going to return. And it is within their right to do that. So we really thank them, for thinking about us, but we feel that more can be done and more needs to be done to ensure that the Jamaican children, which is my concern, is the Jamaican children. It's not about public or private school. It's the Jamaican children that I want to see continuing the educational process. So that's my concern about it right now.
Mr. O, just in terms of continuing on that kind of a impact about the Jamaican children, you as a leader, as a principal of a school, you are definitely aware of some of the issues that school students are going through. For you, in terms of, as a leader of a school, what are some of the ways that even in the midst of COVID, you have tried to support students? Schools is one of the ways that students get socialization or develop certain values. How has the Belair family, the Belair community been helping the students in that regard to kind of maintain their, even the mental wellness in the midst of all of this?
Yes, most definitely. And it's very interesting that you made mention of the mental wellness, but we also have to think about the physical wellness of our students, because the schools are safe havens for students. The database is there, the data is out there that tells us that students are more vulnerable now that schools are closed at home in terms of abuse, physical, mental, sexual, emotional, you name it. They are now more vulnerable because they are not in the physical space, meaning they are not attending schools where the teachers can protect them, where the fact that they're in school in a structured setting, they are more likely now to be abused as a result of this. What's happening? We at Bel Air would have had to implement quite a bit of psychosocial support for our students through ways of various intervention. It was just last week that we had a session with our grade 7 to 9 students, which I look at my grade 7 students, for example, and I say they have not ended primary school and they have not yet started secondary school because they left primary school in March before they graduated, and they have not yet set foot in the high school for some of them, that is. So technically, they have not restarted school any at all. And this has to have an impact on a student mentally to know, I don't know whether I'm going or I'm coming. Just the fact of sitting down 5-6 hours a day staring at a computer screen in an online setting is not a healthy thing. The research is there to support it. So we have to be offering as best as possible the psychosocial support by way of our guidance department, by way of reaching out to our parents, by way of engaging them in, we call it de-stressors online, some online de-stressors using the Zoom and all of those things to get them involved, to get them active, to get their minds away from all this, so-called negative aspect where the pandemic is concerned, to get them to refocus their energies. And Mrs. Dr. Wilson would have made mention of us having to retrain our students when they get back in our physical space. Because you talk about the examinations and teaching our students to not cheat. This is something that the way we would have conducted our exams, for example, in December, would have given a rise to that sort of a setting where students are now finding creative ways to navigate away from the page, to complete assignments, and they're getting good marks. But is this the true reflection of the students' capability in terms of what they would have learned from the teaching that they would have received? So it is quite a challenging time for us. I am hoping to see the back of COVID. It's a year now. It was March 10th. Tomorrow is 1 year. We had our first case last year. Tomorrow, the 10th of March. So we're 1 year now into it, and we were just thrust into this thing to say we either sink or swim. I remember the day the Prime Minister made the announcement, and he said, "Come Monday, we're going online." And I was running up and down. I don't know if Dr. Wilson found herself in the same situation, like chickens without heads, so to speak, trying to figure out how we're going to start school Monday morning in this situation. It has been a real challenge. So I'm hoping that I'll wake up tomorrow and it was a dream. I've been saying that for the past couple of months, but I'm still waking up in the same situation. I don't know what's happening.
It is here, Doc. It is here, Mr. Rowe. Rev, I know you have another question too, but let me just maybe ask Dr. Wilson. We just talk about some of the negatives, but are there any positives that GISA has taken away from this COVID situation? Are there any positives that we have pulled from this experience so far? Talking from your association perspective.
Yes, there are definitely a number of positives. I did mention the collaboration a number of times. I think I did mention the resilience that we're developing. The other positive, I think, is the innovation. I mentioned that already. But I also think in terms of visioning, we're going to walk away being more visionary leaders, those of us who lead our schools, because we realize that something of the nature of COVID could happen again. And so it is critical that we build systems that are also resilient, not just as individuals, students and employees within the sector, we've developed resilience. We need to ensure that we build resilient systems and systems that are agile, that can change quickly. When COVID just happened, when the announcement was just made, some of us were running around like headless chickens because, for example, we did not have an online teaching platform. We did not have a learning management system. Schools that already had that in place were prepared to pivot more quickly to the online space than schools that did not have that and had to then get that and build the capacity of the institution to be able to facilitate children in that way. So now we're looking ahead, further ahead than we have probably looked in more than 100 years.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, sir?
No, I'm just saying, you guys are so wonderful. You're able to pull something positive out of such
that is what we have to be doing, What do we anticipate way out there? And what can we do today to ensure that we can pivot more quickly than some of us did when that announcement was made on the 10th of March last year?
Rev, you have a last question for Mr. Rowe?
Well, what I have for Mr. Rowe and also for Doc is congratulations and commendations. I would not want to be the head of a school right now. So them can't take the crosses, go on.
It has really pulled on their leadership skills.
I'm telling you, it is not easy to manage the lives of so many persons and to lead them into the future. So many young people, you're actually carving out what the future of Jamaica is going to be. Right. And that is not easy. No. I'm telling you, I know of I'm told of an owner of a private school that just could not manage recently and just went into a stroke. Just couldn't manage. I'm telling you, couldn't pay the bills, couldn't,
It is quite difficult. It's quite difficult.
Yeah, it's a hard thing.
Rev, I'm going to give Mr. Rowe just 10 seconds or 20 seconds to just tell us what his expectations are for 2021, just as we close off this section right now. Mr. Rowe?
My expectations for 2021 is to continue to find creative and innovative ways to cater to the Jamaican children. Dr. Wilson would have mentioned the positives. There are a lot of positives from this, and this is something that we should have been doing years ago. It's just a pity it's COVID that had to come around to push us forward in, thrust us into the future before we actually wanted to get there. But I am one of those persons who would have already said to my staff, there are aspects of this COVID-19 pandemic that we're going to keep. Doesn't matter when it goes, we have to keep them. One of the things that we're doing, for example, this modality of meeting persons in this setting, I think it's a wonderful way. It's a wonderful idea. I have had increase in parental support, in parental participation, in PTA, in attendance to meetings, you name it. Because now persons can stay in the comfort of their homes, sitting in their bedroom, in their living room, and participating in meetings with persons who are on the other side of the world. Jamaica has been behind the rest of the world for far too long. COVID has now come around and given us this opportunity for us to try and at least catch up with our counterparts on the regional stage as well as on the international stage. And that's what I'm pushing for 2021 for my institution.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rowe. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Dr. Wilson. You didn't tell us the school that you're from, but I know it's in Mandeville. I can guess.
You're welcome. Today I'm representing GISA.
Okay. Oh, wow. She's so professional.
Well, thank you guys both for being with us here on Campus Connection. And you must come back again.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. We also want to say, yes, thank you.
Good to have
you. Bye. Take care, Doc.
Hey, Floyd, I saw them come on our program all the while and I greet them one another.
They're friends. They're part of GISA. So,
Yes.
we got to learn more about GISA today.
I've seen it happen in other programs also, but that's good. You know, they are obviously keeping the camaraderie going. We therefore want to say also to our producer, Tony K. Bromfield, that I have not seen for a long time in the flesh, and also to Jonathan Flesher. Jonathan, when since you turned our technical support? Yeah, greetings, hail up, Jonathan. And we also want to thank Ashley Nelson, who shared with us inside the Bread of Life, and Javon Thomas, who shared inside Education News today. Thank you to all of you for participating or for supporting this program.
Thank you, guys. Until next week, I'm Floyd Wilson. With me,
Stevenson.
God bless.